Welcome to Tomorrow's World Today, a show dedicated to the discovery of innovation and cutting-edge technology. We showcase the latest developments from the greatest companies and smartest people in the world. Tomorrow's ideas are out there, and through our journey of inspiration, we will uncover the technology of the future. This is Inventionland World Headquarters. Here now is George Davison.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tomorrow's World Today. I'm your host, George Davison. As an innovator and an inventor, as well as someone who cares about the earth, I'm very interested in renewable energy, the different forms, the various sources, and most of all, the possibilities. How can we use things from nature to change how we power our lives and our cities, as well as our industries? I'm sending a creative correspondent out to California to shed some light on diverse sources of energy. I'm wondering how organic waste and food waste can be used to create renewable natural gas. We're gonna go look into how methane is captured from cows and processed for energy. And that's not all. While we're in California, let's see how they're harnessing the wind, the sun, the water to generate electricity. There's a lot of technology, and that's what's going to take us into the future. Renewable energy is the future, so it's going to offer all sorts of new developments and technology to change the world. Let's get ahead of it today.
Across the country, our homes are places of rest and relaxation. How often do we notice the energy sources that make our homes so inviting? What heats our pools, fires, grills, and hot tubs, and keeps our homes running? For over 70 years, more than 90% of our homes have been heated or powered by natural gas. As time has passed, renewable energy sources have come to the forefront in our research. You might say that what we thought of as the end for many everyday things has become the beginning of their part in the renewable energy cycle. For others, we're finding new and innovative ways to turn something considered as waste into a new source of energy. One example is the work that dairy farms are doing to convert cow manure into a renewable, naturally occurring source of power. Today, our vegetation waste, even something as simple as grass clippings from our lawns, can be converted into energy. The best part is that it is truly a renewable resource. Now let me show you how these clippings are processed along with our cow manure. Hi, Joey, Arosa, it's so good to meet you.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm excited about being here on your farm.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here this morning. We got a lot of exciting stuff going on here, and our family's been in business since 1912.
6 generations, that is so incredible.
It is, and 4 on the farm today still.
Great. Well, I know we're going to talk about dairy, but methane as well, so I'd love to take a look.
Yeah, it's exciting because it's not just about producing milk anymore. We're doing some other exciting things.
Well, that's what we're here to learn about.
So Arosa Dairy, we farm 724 acres that we use to grow feed for our cows. We milk 2,800 registered Holstein cows with the kind of long-term view of building a facility that would be modern and accept new technology and new ideas.
As you can see, we've attracted quite an audience back here.
We have. You know, I've had a lot of fans, but not the ones that go moo.
Yeah, they're nosy, and actually they're the stars of this show.
They are the stars of this show, yeah.
So if we're standing in front of our water collection area, and one of the things that we wanted to make sure that this facility, which holds 2,800 milk cows, that it had a real simple draining system where we could catch everything in one spot, collect that water, and easily move it to our processing area. And so all the water is collected here, and then it'll go into a sand lane, which I'll show you here in a few minutes.
And so this is really the start of your conservation efforts.
It is. This is the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's go take a look.
All right, let's go.
So we've left the main collection area, the water collection area, and then the water travels about 600 feet and it comes into the sand lane. And the sand lane is really important because the digester cannot digest sand. And so if sand builds up in the digester, it will take up space and make the digester less efficient. This sand lane it's 300 feet long, and the sand particles are heavier than the manure, so they drop out as the water's running through there, and then we clean the sand out twice a day. And then the next area is the slurry pit, which we'll go to and look at next. So as the water leaves the sand lane, it travels into the slurry pit. This water is recycled at least 3 times here, and this is what keeps all the lanes on the dairy farm clean. And then the water comes back here, and then we're able to separate the solids out of here. So the water travels to the separator. We separate about 55% of the solids out. That product is reused. We compost it, dry it, and reuse it as bedding for the cows. The water that comes off the separator process, if you look up here, you can see those screens. The water that goes in those screens and then goes down and drops into this tube, and then that goes into the digester. And it'll spend about 55 days in that digester, and then the methane is collected in the digester.
Got it. This is the lagoon where all the methane is collected.
Yep, this is kind of almost the final stage of all the process that we've looked at this morning here. This lagoon is 6.5 acres. It's lined top, bottom, and it can hold about 45 to 55 days worth of the water that's produced off the dairy. In that 45 or 50 days, the gas is collected off the top. And then the water leaves the lagoon and goes into the settling ponds. The gas goes into this kind of a control center over here that actually chills and takes some of the moisture out of the methane that comes off the lagoon.
That's interesting that it all goes to this one single 4-inch line.
I know, it's pretty amazing, really.
Definitely. Well, I need to follow my methane all the way to the processing plant. So thank you so much for today.
Thank you for visiting our farm today. Really enjoyed it.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
Looking into the future, we want to be able to protect the environment and our planet, really. And so when we can utilize our resources and reuse them, where a cow eats a byproduct that used to be turned into waste, now her waste is going to be reused to manufacture something that will not have the methane going into the environment anymore and harm the planet.
Hey, George. It's Darieth reporting from the Arosa Dairy Farm in Pixley, California. Meeting Joey Aroso and his family and seeing their farm was just simply fascinating in person. You know, how they've adapted to the digester process and utilizing the manure for more than fertilizer, it's remarkable to see. And the fact that they were to do so shows that innovators can really come from any walk of life. Getting to see the early stages of how the methane is captured and processed is also an insight into how biogas is actually collected and supplied. Well, now I'm looking forward to seeing how it is transformed at the next stop, which is actually at Calgren, and that's only 3 miles from here, where 10 farms supply their methane. Albert, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. So I've spent most of my time over at the farm. I've seen thousands of cows and their poop. And I also saw how the methane works there, but I'm curious to know what happens when it gets here to Calgren.
Yeah, so that's one of 10 dairies that's actually connected to a pipeline that runs to here to Calgren. So the methane comes in with CO2, hydrogen sulfide, H2S, and we need to get rid of those 2 things before we can be pipeline quality for SoCalGas.
Now, what's H2S?
H2S is actually hydrogen sulfide. So in order to scrub that out, we go through a DMT system. DMT, gas comes into a scrubber, and we pump caustic over the top of the gas to drop the H2S into the liquid sump. From there, it's pumped over to our bioreactor.
And what happens in the bioreactor?
In the bioreactor, we have a bacteria that consumes the H2S and turns it into a sulfur and then regenerates the solution back to a caustic.
So a live bacteria that's cleaning it.
Yes.
Okay.
So that caustic can then be pumped back over to the scrubber and we can continue to scrub the H2S and the gas coming in.
And then what happens?
From there, we stop by a chiller to drop the temperature and the moisture. So the gas comes in about 90 degrees and coming out of the chiller is about 34. So that's enough to drop any liquid that was left in the gas and dry it out. From there, we bump up the pressure. It comes in at about 5 psi, and we bump it up to about 200 to push through our air-liquide membrane. Air-liquide gets rid of the CO2 that comes in with the gas. So we have about 30% going into air-liquide. When we come out, there's no more CO2. So we're at about 99% methane at that point.
And so then it's ready to go into the pipeline.
At that point, we're pipeline quality. We bring the pressure up to about 380, and we can actually inject to SoCal gas from there.
Great. So into the pipeline and then into homes.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to check that out. Thanks so much.
So you've seen how the dairy biogas is processed in the Calgary facility to clean it up. From that plant, it actually travels underground to this pipeline where we receive the gas. We take that gas and we monitor it, do a quality check to make sure that it's safe to go to our customers. And then it travels through this pipeline underground and it connects with our existing natural gas system, which serves millions of homes and businesses in Southern California.
SoCal is really committed to biogas here in California and its future.
Absolutely. We're so excited about all of the development of biomethane projects that's happening, just like this, around the state and around the country. And we actually have a commitment to serve 20% of our core customers with renewable gas by 2030.
How is this ultimately going to affect the consumer?
So the consumers are going to see renewable gas in their homes, and it's going to allow them to keep their appliances and completely decarbonize their homes without having to make any changes.
Great. Well, I'm interested in learning more about some other renewable sources of energy.
Absolutely. We're really excited about hydrogen as well, and I know you have a trip planned to UC Irvine tomorrow to talk to them about that.
Yeah, so I'm going to head out and check it out. All
Great.
right. Hello. Oh, it's such a pleasure to finally meet you, Dr.
So nice
Brower.
to see you.
Yeah, we've been talking extensively about alternative sources of energy. So I'm so glad to be here. Tell us about what goes on here.
Well, thank you so much for coming to the University of California, Irvine, where we have graduate students and undergraduate students who are leading research in electrochemical energy conversion dynamics.
Great, and we're going to talk more specifically about solar, wind, and hydrogen.
Absolutely, because we need something to store the solar and wind power when it's available in excess. And this is what we are studying. We're studying things that convert that electricity into a chemical form of storage. And those are batteries and fuel cells and electrolyzers. We're going to show you all these today, in addition to the solar and wind power.
Wonderful. Well, I'm excited about it. Let's get started.
Let's go.
Yeah, definitely. So this is one of the original solar arrays here on campus. How is the power being used?
So we have installed solar power on top of every major building on our campus and on top of some of the parking structures, as you can see here. This was one of the original ones. We have much larger solar arrays that we've installed on top of 3 other campus parking structures.
Where they're in the perfect place for all of this sun here
Yeah,
in California. Is it ever too much?
Yeah, we have more than 4 megawatts of solar installed on our campus. So sometimes in the middle of the day, we have more solar electricity than we can use. And so we use power to gas technology, making renewable hydrogen from that excess solar power so that we can store it and use it at a different time.
Why don't we go into the lab and talk more there?
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is one of those buildings where we have solar installed on the roof. And when we make too much solar electricity, we put it through this machine to make renewable hydrogen.
This sort of looks like a washing machine.
Oh, it's definitely not a washing machine. It's an electrolyzer. Take a look. In this electrolyzer, we have water management, and we take water plus that solar electricity, we put it through these cells that you see here, and make hydrogen on one side and oxygen on the other.
And then where does it go from here?
Well, here we store it in our natural gas system. We take this renewable hydrogen, and instead of using fossil fuels, we use this renewable hydrogen in our gas system.
How would I use this, for instance, at my home?
Well, you also have a natural gas connection, which can be converted eventually into a renewable hydrogen connection in your home.
Now, there are multiple steps here, but there are even additional steps ahead.
Absolutely, because after you store it, you have to convert it back to electricity when you need it, like when the sun's not shining. For that, you can use a zero emissions fuel cell to make electricity. You want to see one?
I would love to, yeah. Oh, this looks a bit dated. I think I was expecting something a little more advanced.
Well, as a matter of fact, this is one of the first stationary fuel cell systems ever built and commercialized way back in 1996. This is actually more like a museum piece that someday may be in the Smithsonian. So in the paradigm that we just talked about, where we're delivering hydrogen, we don't need any of this. We just need the fuel cell stack that you see here that with zero emissions takes the hydrogen and air and makes electricity and water.
Great. So circa 1996, but we have the more advanced technology in the lab here.
Absolutely. Fuel cell technology has advanced very significantly to what we have in the room next door.
Well, let's take a look.
So let me show you some of the modern fuel cell systems that we have here. These have advanced to become much smaller and more compact and more efficient than the one we saw out there.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is one of those modern fuel cell systems, and it can make electricity and heat with an electrical efficiency of 60%, almost double the one we saw that's a museum piece.
Well, so you have 8 of them here, so I assume that this is powering something pretty big.
Well, these kinds of fuel cell systems have water treatment, blowers and fans, and a fuel cell that can make heat and power sufficient for your entire home in this little box. But we have 8 of these here together because we're not just powering a home, we're powering a data center.
An entire data center?
Yeah, let me show you. So this is a data center. The heart of the internet is powered by the computers that you see here, and we're powering them with that renewable hydrogen.
This is amazing. So not only is it powering our home and a data center, but what else can it power?
Well, we can power cars and transportation applications. We're doing that very thing right here on the UCI campus. Let me show you.
Yeah, let's take a look.
So here we are at the hydrogen fueling station. This is where we're fueling this vehicle with renewable hydrogen. And when it converts it back to power for the vehicle, you get our water back. And any kind of vehicle that needs rapid fueling, long range, or heavy payload would prefer this type of zero emissions vehicle to a battery electric vehicle.
So much better for the environment, for sure.
Absolutely. This is something that we can do forever. Take solar energy, put it into electrolyzers, make hydrogen, put it into fuel cell vehicles, and return the water back to the environment.
This has been such a fascinating conversation. I thank you so much, Doctor. What a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much. Yes. I don't see hydrogen being stored at individual residences. Rather, I see it being used as a community scale type of storage. I see it also being used for fueling vehicles locally. So for example, if you have an entire apartment complex, it's very difficult to make all of the vehicles zero emissions using battery technology. Why is that? It's because you would need to install thousands of chargers, have them all operating in a single garage at night, okay? And that would be a huge investment. But hydrogen could be made and dispensed at one fueling station and serve thousands of vehicles.
So George, we have learned some amazing things here today. Of course, we talked a lot about solar, wind, and hydrogen and the roles that they play in our lives, not to mention the fact that renewable energy and resources is definitely the wave of the future. All right, so be on the lookout because I've got a special gift headed back your way to Pittsburgh. It's all about fuel cell cars. So I'll see you soon.
That was really nice of Daria to send this to me. It truly makes you marvel at the technology behind it and where that technology can take us in the not too distant future. I can't help but believe we're getting close to a world that's going to be powered by 100% renewable energy. We're at a defining moment in our history, and it's just amazing to be a part of showing you how far the imagination can take us. I wonder if these two fuel cells will be innovating the airline industry soon.